Hello, everyone. I'm here with Jason from Qortal, and we are going to be discussing Web 3.0. This is really exciting. I stumbled across this project last summer, and I have been using Qortal for about a year now, and I have seen the progress over a year, and it's been completely outstanding. And I think this is something that'll be beneficial for everybody to see and to learn about in order for us to get rid of the systems that we're currently using, which are censoring us and keeping our free speech squelched and not letting us just be free human beings like we're supposed to be. So from there, I'm going to let Jason take it over and we'll go back and forth. So Jason, do you want to tell us a little bit about Qortal?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name is Jason Crow. I am one of the founders of Qortal, which is spelled Qortal, and you can go to qortal.org to get to the main website, which has a bunch of other links to more information and the downloads and so forth. And so what Qortal is in a nutshell is a completely decentralized infrastructure platform. Now, what that means is that you as the user you are never communicating with anything other than your own computer. Now, your node, which is your computer with the software installed, then communicates to the rest of the network, but you, as the user, are only communicating with your own computer. Now, that is what decentralization is, which means that you're not communicating to a server, which is hosted by Amazon, Google, Facebook. These guys have full control over those systems. And that means that they then can say this and this and this no longer there, you no longer there, and they can do whatever they like, right? We are eliminating that centralized authority in every single aspect of your digital lives. Now, Qortal is not just a blockchain platform, which it is a blockchain platform, but the reason that we chose a blockchain is because a blockchain is a distributed database that does not allow anything to take place other than legitimate transactions. And no one can go in and modify that other than the person who put it there, right? And so that allows for complete and utter control over your own digital lives. And now what we've already done with Qortal is, of course, we have the economic system portion of it, but we'll get into what's more important first, which is the distributed web hosting and communications. The focus right now for the development team is to be able to replace Telegram and Discord with our communications application called QChat. And QChat is completely decentralized, does not have any server in between it, and is also completely encrypted. So whereas, like for example, with Telegram recently, right, I've been getting a lot of like, oh, this person got kicked from Telegram or banned from this group, or this group got banned because of whatever they've been saying. Right now, if Telegram was actually an encrypted messaging service, how is this possible, right? Like, why are these things able to happen? Now, the reason is because they may be encrypted in some way, but they're also centralized. And now that centralized component is the main problem with basically everything that's on the internet right now. When the internet was first created, it was supposed to be each computer communicating directly to each other. Now that ended up going more towards one computer communicating to one computer that's a server, and multiple computers communicating to that one. And then that led to companies controlling basically everything on the internet. And now where we are today is, as you can see, people are getting banned left, right, and center on every single platform that is out there right now. So if you say just even one thing, even if you're giving something that you've gone through, right, they can say, oh, nope, we don't believe in this, and it doesn't follow our narrative, so you can't talk anymore. And now that's not acceptable, right? Especially if you live in the US, we're supposed to have freedom of speech here, right? And how do we have that if you can say one little thing and get kicked off of any platform, right? So with Qortal, that is not possible. Nobody has the ability to censor or control anything that you say. Now, as an individual on Qortal, you can say and do whatever you like, and you can also block whoever you like on your own node, right? So if someone says something that you don't like, you can decide to not see messages from that person anymore and not process those messages on your node anymore, right? So you have literal full control over every single bit of the data and information that's coming and going from your node, which is, again, just any computer with the Qortal software installed on it.
Okay, so that's an important thing to just take note of. Like, a node is your computer. That's all it is. You don't have to buy anything. You don't have to do anything. As long as you have a computer, you could do it.
Right, Windows, Mac, Linux, even BSD, crazy, any operating system, right? Because we've written the core in what's called Java, and Java is natively cross-platform. So that means it'll be supported on any operating system, any device, and in the future, we will have mobile support. That's something that we're working on now. So yes, any computer can run this software. It does not have to be, so like with Bitcoin in particular, and other coins that are run like Bitcoin is, in order to be part of the network and be a miner, you have to have a huge computer, right? You have to have a really expensive, really powerful computer. And now they've made it so that you have to have a specific type of computer to even be able to compete and be part of the network, right? That wasn't how it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be that any individual with their normal computer can be part of the network. And that's what we've been trying to build in a way that actually works, right? And it's very difficult. Most people say it's impossible to do what we've already done, right? And so we've done the impossible to build this platform, and any individual with any normal computer, no, it doesn't matter which operating system you're using. Obviously, the open source operating systems like Linux are better, right? Because they're not a controlled operating system. We don't know what actually going on in the back end of some of these operating systems, right? But we still support them because obviously most people still use them right now. The end result goal platform is to make everything open source, fully available to everyone, no technology that's owned by any company or any one group. We're building this all, giving it all to the world, and allowing this to evolve on its own and take form into something that will allow individual freedoms and sovereignty and lack of censorship and all these nonsense things that have been going on the traditional internet.
Yes, I agree. It's important because also, like, the people are the internet pretty much. So everybody's node supports the network, and that creates the internet. So there's no way that they could possibly shut us down if everybody, unless they go to your house and steal everybody's computers, which would, I mean, I wouldn't put it past them, but you know, it's kind of like impossible to do at this point. But that to me was the most appealing thing about Qortal, is that I know I was telling you earlier that I have been banned from multiple platforms, and I'm not really saying anything too controversial. I guess I do shoot my mouth off, and that's fine. I'm a human being, but it's not like I'm saying anything horrible that I deserve not to be able to express my opinion. You may not like what I have to say, but I have the right to say it. So this project was very appealing to me as somebody who's constantly either getting banned or like getting a 30-day jail sentence or something like that. And I go missing online, and my followers don't know where I went, and they figured it out by now that I said something, and you know, I'm in the graveyard. So when I came across Qortal, I was like really excited, and like seeing the progress from like last year to this year, it's truly amazing what you guys have done in like such a short amount of time, and the potential for the project to grow is outstanding. Like, I just see where I could see it into the future, and I see in my eyes, like, I don't want to be owned by like Google, Amazon, Facebook, Twitter, like all the big tech. Like, why should we have control in these big corporations' hands? Like, why should they control all my data, my photos, my messages, my personal documents? Because when you're putting things into the cloud and whatnot, they own it.
They actually make you sign an agreement. You don't even realize that you're doing it. When you're accepting, when you say, oh yeah, sure, I accept these agreements, those terms tell you, if you read them, that they own everything that touches their servers. In most cases, like you know, OneDrive and Google Cloud, all these things, they own your data. That means if you like are an author or an artist or whatever, and any of your art or whatever you created touches their servers, they technically own it. Right. Now that's not okay, right? Like this is not how things were supposed to be. Like, multiple large corporations controlling everything is the main reason that the world is in the situation that it is now, right? And if we now take that and say, no, we're not going to use all of your centralized crap anymore. Now we have an alternative over here that is much better, allows me to actually take and build my own destiny, allows me to do whatever I feel like I want to do and make my own life, my own path. Why would we continue to use the centralized stuff? And yeah, when you first started, so we had basically just QChat, right? We didn't have, we had the wallet, we had one coin supported, maybe two. So, and we like didn't have much, right? And now, a year is both simultaneously forever in my world and no time at all. So it's kind of crazy, right? Because a year, the development moves so quickly on this project because we have such an amazing community and it's community developed. We've had multiple new developers come in and join us. In fact, the main developers working on things right now were not part of my original team that I originally created when we started putting all this together, right? So it's great. Like the community is what builds this. The community is what pushes this forward. Interviews like this with any community member, like I'm doing right here with you, is the only marketing that we do. We do not want any sort of nonsense advertising and stuff that's just going to annoy people. We want this to grow completely organically and from the ground up, just like the development was. That's why we didn't start with a clone of any other platform. We literally built this from scratch because it needed to be done that way in order to address every single issue, because there's issues with all the crypto platforms too. I don't like basically all of them. There's a few that are all right, but they've done things incorrectly. And so we have made it our goal to do everything the correct way and make sure that we can have a platform that is actually an alternative to the centralized stuff. And so I would like to kind of show it, maybe if I can share my screen and just so people like get a better feel for it. I think if I just show it a little bit so they can see that it's not scary and confusing, it's really very straightforward. And so I was gonna like share my screen if that's cool. And
That's
let me
fine.
see.
I mean, anybody who's following me knows that I am not a tech person, and they know that if I could do it, they could definitely do it, because I'm not like, I mean, I didn't have a computer till I was like 25, so I didn't have a cell phone till I was like 25. I learned to type on a typewriter, like, so I'm one of those weird like Gen Xers that are in between the worlds, but this, I think everybody could do. So Jason, show us what's going on here.
All right, so this here is what we call the Qortal UI. And now that's just the user interface. Basically, it's just how the user interacts with Qortal right now. And there will be multiple other ways for people to interact with Qortal in the future, right? But we wanted to have one location that had all of these basically demos of what Qortal can do. We're just now barely scratching the surface of what the actual platform is capable of, right? So we have here the Qortal UI, and I wanted to just show this because I think when we just talk about it, people like kind of get confused and they're like, what is this? It sounds really cool, but I have no idea, right? So I wanted to kind of give a walkthrough of basically how you create an account. Now, once you get this software installed, there's a bunch of guides on our wiki on how to install it. If it's on Windows, it's literally just 2 installing programs like you're used to dealing with for installing any other program, 2 installers. You run both of those, then you end up with 2 apps on your computer. One is called Qortal, the other is called Qortal UI. Qortal runs all the time in the background, and you can see it up here. My node on this computer is actually still synchronizing, so it shows up as red. But when it is not synchronized, it will show up as blue. And since it's still synchronizing, doesn't necessarily matter because I'm not going to be doing any transactions right now. But that is what it'll look like when it's running on a Mac. If you can see that up here, I'm not sure. But that is what it'll look like when it's running on a Mac. But it runs the same on any computer. So you have 2 applications when you're done setting this up, no matter which operating system you set it up on. And this is how you create your account. So I'm just going to go back to the beginning here. Click Create Accounts. You click Next. You put in a name here, and this name is just for you. So this is for you to keep track of your account. You can create multiple accounts for different purposes. So this is a way to like basically know which account this is, like what you're setting this account up for. So in this case, I'm just going to say display name 2, because I already have one called display name that I've used before. So display name 2, just so we know that this is the display account that I'm setting up now. And then you literally just create a password for it. And now this password is what is used to encrypt the backup file that will get created on the next page. So you just need to make sure you remember this password. And now, since you're not communicating to a central server, this password can be something very simple. It does not have to be super long and complex. Now, if you make it long and complex, it's more secure, right? But you have to also remember that you want to remember this password, and that then nobody can get into your account without first having the backup file and then having your password too, right? So it's a much more difficult thing to get into from somebody who doesn't have access to it. So if you're dealing with a centralized thing, they have the ability to hack into the database there, because the database there keeps track of all the username password combinations, and then they can get into that and dump that, and they have access to it. With this, there is no centralized database to keep track of, right? There's no username password database on Qortal at all. In fact, your account only exists when you make a transaction and your account is there on the chain. So there's nothing that people can hack, right? So it's much more secure. This is what decentralization provides for us. So once you've input that password twice, clicking here, save it in this browser, that just means whichever method you're using to access the UI. If it's the UI app, then it'll save it in the app for you for next time.
I think something that should be mentioned too is that because this is decentralized, if they lose their password, they lose their account, correct?
Absolutely. That is a big one, right? Because there's no like way for anyone who, even the developers, right? There's no way for us to help you to recover an account. You are literally the only person who has access to this account, right? So yes, that's another thing, right? We're giving you individual sovereignty, but that comes with individual responsibility. You have to be the one to pay attention and know that you have this backup file, and that's all you need to have, right? If you have this backup file, then you have access to your account, and that is all you need, right? So just make sure that you save this backup file. Now, this is what it looks like on a Mac, because I happen to be on my MacBook right now. So it pops up automatically for you. It does the same thing on Windows and Linux, but it looks a little differently on Windows and Linux. Same idea. The default location for saving the file will be downloads. All you have to do is literally click save for that. It gives you an option here to save it again. If for whatever reason, when it popped up automatically, you didn't save it correctly, whatever, you can click this button and save it again. Once you've done that, you literally just click continue, and you are into your Qortal account now. So this is the Qortal interface. This is what it looks like. The plugin that it opens to by default is called Wallets. And as you can see, this is not just a single coin. We have Qort, which is the main coin of this platform, Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Dogecoin. The Wallets plugin is very straightforward. It's literally just wallets for those multiple coins. The trade portal is where you can actually trade from one coin directly to another with no centralized party involved. So you're dealing with no exchange that holds onto your money, nothing, right? All of the stuff in the Qortal UI has no third party. You've got no one in between. You're trading directly from one person to another, from one blockchain to another, right? This here is the websites plugin.
So wait,
and the websites,
Jason, before you move on, so the idea with the trade portal, like going forward, is that you're going to be able to use the trade portal to purchase from various websites on there with like the cryptocurrencies, or do peer-to-peer trades with a friend. So there is no Federal Reserve involved, there is no government stealing from you, and all that jazz.
And no transaction fees either, other than the fees that are necessary on each blockchain to create the transactions, right? So there's no trade fees, right? Nothing in the middle saying, oh, I get a percentage of this fee because I run this exchange or whatever, right? And the trade portal is specifically for trading. In the future, we will have support on the websites for payment processing and stuff like that. And now, since my node is not fully synchronized, I will not be able to actually show you what the websites look like, unfortunately, because I need to wait for that to finish synchronizing before I can do that.
But I can make a video of my own, like later.
Yeah, I can go through that later. I didn't think ahead and actually get this node synchronized. I don't use this laptop all the time. I only use it for videos and stuff like that.
It's not a worry. Like, and anybody who follows me, if you guys are interested or you need help, like you can reach out to me. I actually helped a couple people get set up so far, and Look, last year I was like bothering Jason all the time because I didn't know what I was doing. And
Actually,
now I'm helping people.
I might be able to do something. So you can, yeah, just keep talking real quick. I'm going to set up something and see if I can demo it anyway.
So if you looking at the interface, so from last year, like pretty much they really didn't have much going on. And this year, there's so much has changed between the different cryptocurrencies and the trade portal. Now the websites, I was floored when I saw the websites. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. QChat was there, and now I think you could do private messaging through QChat, correct? That wasn't there
Yes.
last year. It was only group messaging. So
Well, no, we had that, but now with the next functionality we're going to add, we'll add group encryption. So right now the group messaging is just base 58 encoded, which just means it's not plain text, but it's not encrypted either. We're going to add group encryption. We're going to add a bunch of other functionality for the messaging side of QChat. So give me 1 second. I want to
no worries.
use this.
Let's say like if I message a friend on QChat, like a private message, the message like pretty much implodes within 24 hours, right? So
yeah, at the moment, that's another thing that we're changing. So we're going to give QChat a local database, and you'll be able to choose how long you want to keep the messages. So that won't be a thing in the future either.
Okay.
You'll be able to choose however long you want to keep them.
That's awesome. Yeah, so there's times when you need them to disappear, and there's times when you want to keep them. Like if somebody gives you like a number or like a screenshot of something that like you may want to refer back to. So there's all that too. So basically right now, like what he's doing, he's on his own node, and the node is basically just his computer, and he's connected into the Qortal user interface, which is the UI, and he's running his node, and he's on the internet. So if you see behind where the box is that he's typing into, you see all those addresses kind of. Those are all the nodes of the peers that are running nodes. I'm probably in there somewhere because my node is constantly running.
Those are the peers that node is connected to. And right now what I did is I bypassed my local node and set it up so I was actually connected to node 1. And that was some more complex stuff, but you can do that too, right? You can use another node instead of your local computer if you own the other computer too, right? So I've just done that so that I can then yeah, there we go. So now the websites will show up because I'm not using a not synchronized node. Now I'm connected to one that is synchronized.
Okay.
And let me see, I want to, so this, okay, so the websites plugin is, it allows anyone to come in and with a registered name, right? So the first thing you have to do here is name registration. Now name registration, you just come in, you click this up here, register name, and you have to have right now the fee is 5 Cort. And now actually the community has voted to decrease that fee. And so that fee is actually going to be, I believe, 1 or 1.5. I can't remember what the vote came out with right now in the next version. So that will be going down. So you have to have that amount. And if you are coming from your people, just let me know. I'm happy to help people get the Cort necessary to register a name or help them learn how to trade so that they can grab some Cort, whatever. But once you have the 5 Cort that's necessary for a name, this is the only fee you'll ever pay for this service, right? So you'll have, once you have this name, you can host a website on it indefinitely for free. So all you need is this one name, and this name that you own forever. You don't have to, like with domains, renew this name every year or 3 years or whatever. You never have to pay again. You own this name and you own it forever until you decide later if you want to sell it, which you can do once we get the names market. That'll be another plugin over here. But anyways, once you have that name, you can go here and you can publish a website on the Qortal chain. Now, what this means is the data is actually secured by the chain. The data is not actually on the chain, but the data is secured by it. Now, why we did that is because we did not want the chain to continually grow at an uncontrollable rate with every single bit of all of the data on the blockchain itself. But we still wanted the security that comes along with the blockchain, which makes the data on here only able to be changed by the person that put it there, right? So you cannot be hacked on Qortal. It's literally not possible for anyone else to modify the data. Once you have a website published, it shows up here. Now we've got it just right here in alphabetical order. In the future, we'll have a lot more functionality here We just added, you can see here where it's got, let me see one that has it. So where it's got tags here, where it shows like this one is fertility, pregnancy, birth tags. We've now got that functionality, which will lead to, in the future, we'll have like a search engine, right? So we'll be able to build an application on top of Qortal that'll function as like a search engine, and you'll be able to search for websites. For now, you can search for a website based on the name right here.
Okay.
And I am just going to load my websites, which is just Proetics. So this is my personal website. So what I'm doing here, when I click the website to view it, you have to grab all of the files. So your node will automatically go out to the network, find all the files. And as you can see, I already downloaded them all. Once they're all downloaded, then it builds it, because all of the files are completely encrypted. All the data on the Qortal data network is completely encrypted until you view it, right? So once you view it, then it is built and decrypted. And so yeah, this is my personal website on QDN. Now this is hosted with no server, no domain, and no fees associated with any of those things, right? This was literally just published on top of the Qortal chain. The Qortal blockchain secures it, and the Qortal nodes that follow me or view this website have copies of the data. So it gets more redundant, it gets stronger, faster, more anonymous as time goes on, and you'll be able to download the files more quickly when there are more nodes that have it, right? So you publish one website, it stays there forever. The more people that view it, the more copies of your website that exist. So it's not like where you have a server hosting your website, you have hundreds and hundreds or thousands and thousands or millions and millions of people accessing this one server. That puts a lot of tax on that one server, right? Instead of that, each time a person accesses it, you get another copy of it. So there's basically another server each time. And so you have now tons of redundant copies. Right. The data gets to each person from that point more quickly because they're grabbing from multiple at once. It's basically inverted of what the centralized internet is, and it makes it much, much better. And so you can see this here is my website that's hosted here. You can see it looks just like, you know, any other website that you could host on the traditional internet. I put up some demos here. So this is music that I have made and that I put up here that people can actually click and listen to, right? So you can do all kinds of different things already. But what's going to happen in the near future is we're going to make it so we have what's called Q apps, and Q apps will allow us to essentially rebuild everything. Video hosting platforms like YouTube, blogs like Twitter or Reddit, all of those kinds of platforms will be able to be rebuilt in this fashion with no centralized control, no ownership, nothing, right? And showing Q chat, I think, is good too. So this is just the Qortal general chat. And these are the people right now that are communicating in the general chat. If you wanted to send a private message to someone, you can do that. If they have a registered name, you can just type the registered name. Or if they don't, you just have to use this address up here. This is your account address when you create your account. So this account's address is that, and you can send messages that way. So you don't have to have a registered name to use anything on Qortal. Aside from, you know, websites. If you want to publish a website, then you have to have a registered name. And yeah, let me see. The other stuff here, node management just shows you, like we were talking about earlier, all of the peers that are currently connected to whichever node that you're currently using, which in most cases will be your computer, right? It shows you all of the IP addresses that are currently connected to your computer. Data management is an interesting one too, because this, yeah,
Jason,
go ahead.
Stop you for 1 second. So in the future, do you plan on obscuring the IP addresses to make it
in the future, we want to actually eliminate the need for IP addresses.
Even better.
We want to have our own communications protocol, but that's going to happen when we have the mesh network and our own cellular networks and stuff like that, where we can actually use our own communications protocol.
So could you just explain quickly what a mesh network is for those who do not know?
Yeah, so the only way that they could right now stop Qortal would be to literally kill the entire internet all at once. And that's the only way, right? So we want to be able to avoid that as well. So we are hoping to establish and are going to establish a mesh network in the future, which will allow basically your node running down the street connected to your neighbor's node over here with multiple different types of wireless communications. And so you'll be able to establish connectivity directly to another node nearby. And then we'll end up with multiple little pockets of people connected that way with gateways to the internet until it gets big enough to where we don't need the internet anymore. And we'll have communications via satellites and long range like ham radio and all kinds of different wireless communications to allow that to take place. The ultimate end goal is for a wireless communications that does not cause radiation and damage, that uses beneficial frequencies, and that also allows communication with our own communications protocol that does not rely upon IP addresses at all. And so that would allow real anonymity, because right now on the internet, it's basically impossible to have anonymity. VPNs and so forth only do so much, and they can be subpoenaed to give logs to authorities when whatever may happen. And so, and honestly, there's really no reason to be concerned, because all of the data on Qortal that's transmitted, no matter what, is fully encrypted anyway, right? So there's no like concern about people saying, oh, this data may be on my computer, stuff like that. They can't tell, because it's all completely encrypted anyway and broken down into chunks so that not even the encrypted data is in one piece, right? So it's very, very secure. The node IP addresses, yes, you can see them. So if you're concerned about that, you can connect to a VPN or use Tor to connect to the network. That's possible. But, you know, I am personally not really concerned about that, because I don't feel like those things really provide all that much extra anonymity anyway. Not at this point. I feel like we need to have a communications protocol that's better before real anonymity is going to be possible.
Right. I don't use IP on mine either, because I'm doing it off the Raspberry Pi. So I just use it basically for me. Like, I am just on Qortal to support the network because I believe in the infrastructure. So I feel like if more people have like that attitude, like, oh, everybody complains, oh, I'm being censored, this, that, whatever. Here, this is the solution. You know, like, unless you're going to be willing to take the steps into like maybe a little bit uncomfortable, that you have to have a little bit of a learning curve, you're all smart. You could do it. You know, you could figure it out and support the network, be part of something that's growing and to build something better. So we're not reliant on these companies where I feel like we're victims. You know, they're holding us hostage. We're victims, and it's progressively just going to get worse. And if you don't think it is, you've been sleeping the past 2 years.
Yeah, I fully agree. And it's been pretty obvious lately that it's not going to get any better. There's not been any changes recently that have led us to believe anything positive is going to be happening. In fact, so many people come to me and they're like, wow, I cannot believe this exists. I've been looking for a platform like this for so long. Nothing like this actually exists. This gives me hope for the future, yada, 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 right? Because there literally isn't really an alternative other than Qortal. Even other blockchain platforms, most people are not using the actual platform like you're seeing here in front of you. You're using Qortal. You're not using some exchange or some other centralized entity. And that's what they're doing, right? They're allowing people to only to understand this only to the point where they can use another centralizized entity to get access to these decentralized things. Now, does that make any sense? No, it doesn't, but it makes sense for them, because then they, again, can control everything, right? And so if you're the one looking to control everything, then of course you want everyone to access everything through traditional domains and centralized servers, and all the stuff that they're used to using makes it easy for them, right? But to do this the right way, yes, you have to put in a little bit of effort, and you have to, install this software on your computer and figure it out, right? And we've made it very straightforward. We've made it, and it's going to keep getting easier. And there is no such thing as a dumb question. So come into our community, ask us questions. We'll walk you through how to set this up. I've done that countless times. I believe I did that with you as well. And then you ended up grabbing the Cortector from us, which is another way, if people want to set something up without having to worry about doing the installations themselves, they can purchase this device called the Cortector from us.
Do you have one to show them what it looks like?
I don't up here. I should have brought one up, but I have one downstairs.
Well, that doesn't help. Mine's on
Yeah,
my,
I know.
so I'm not gonna go there, but
I could show you, hold on, I could
show
show
us a picture
you.
of what it looks like. It's just like it's like a little box. I actually have
Yeah,
it
I'll show
plugged
you
into
the
my
website.
TV.
Hold on.
Yeah, I have it plugged into my TV and I have a wireless keyboard. It's silent. I don't hear it. I'm minting, supporting the network. I'm getting rewarded from supporting the network. I'm getting rewarded with court. So that too is like, as the project grows, the value of court is going to go up. So while you're supporting the infrastructure, you have the ability to grow your wealth by doing like just passively by doing nothing. There it is.
Right, exactly. So this is the Cortector. It's based off of Raspberry Pi 4. So if you guys are familiar with what a Raspberry Pi 4 is, it's just a little single board computer. And we have installed our own custom operating system. It's a Linux-based operating system that we have built, which is all open source. And this is what it looks like when it's connected to a monitor, keyboard, mouse. So it's literally a full desktop computer. You just buy one of these things, plug it in, turn it on, and it's got Qortal running already for you, right? You don't have to set it all up. And that's like the most difficult part for most people. It's just getting the software installed. Once it's installed, it's really simple to use. So it's just the installation process. And so that's why you can also build one of these because we have no intellectual property. Everything's open source. We'll even share you the 3D printer files for the case if you want to print your own. So you can do that totally, or you can grab one of these from us, comes pre-set up, plug it into a keyboard, mouse, monitor, and connect it to the internet, and you have your Qortal node running. And the Qortal UI is already there. You're ready to go. So that's the solution that we wanted to have for people who are like, wow, this is just way too much for me, right? If you want to just instead grab a little device, $500, here you go, and you're running, right? And this thing will also pay for itself because you can start minting with it, earn court with it. Later, you can sell that court. But I'm guessing that probably going back to US dollars is probably not going to be the greatest idea in the future. As we all know, they're trying to go a whole different direction with US dollars. And I feel like it's going to be not a great direction. So we're going to be using cryptocurrencies, namely court, for transactions in the future, in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, no, I agree with you because I feel like the dollar is going to go digital. And then once they have like control of our money, they can control everything you do. So this is why like a project like this is so important, is like the government and these big corporations, like our democracy, it's not really a democracy. It's like we're owned, and like, why should we let them own us? Like, I don't want to be owned. I am a free human being and I will always be a free human being. I don't care. So I believe that this is an important step for everybody to do in the future. I think the more people that come on it, the better. I believe in the project, and my followers who've been following me for years, like, no, I don't ever talk about something unless I really believe in it. So right. I saw this, I was like, I stumbled into the group just to check it out. I was reading the website. I was like, all right, I am in. And I think like immediately I was like, it was like within 2 days, I was like, I'm in, I'm doing this. And I started, I had it on my laptop. And then I decided I didn't want to have my laptop on all the time. That's why I got the Cortector, because I wasn't about to build one myself. That wasn't happening. I mean, other people might be able to do it, but like, that's not for me. But I mean, ultimately, like, if you think out into the future, things aren't going to get better. And like with something like the trade portal and these websites, like it makes you have the ability to forget about like even going on social media. It's like, who cares? It's more of like the commerce thing, because like there's food shortages, or let's say like you're not allowed to, like, let's say like one day they just ban, like, I don't know, milk. You can't get milk or something. You could pay somebody on the website to like send it to you,
Right. And we actually have, not to like spill the beans before I've really talked to the community about this yet, but we have another project that is coming to utilize the Qortal blockchain to launch their concept. And this concept is revolving around the production and distribution of food and helping people to build distributed food production and distribution, right? So that's another aspect too, because we're looking to provide the actual infrastructure for the future. Right now, we have the digital side locked down. We have all the ability for the authentication and hosting all the applications and stuff like that, but we didn't have the food production and distribution. So that's going to be another thing that's coming in the near future. We will have that side of things too. So, and there's all, of course, numerous different options for people to build their own applications. Once we launch Q apps, you'll be able to build your own application on top of Qortal and make use of the entire infrastructure that Qortal provides to, take payments or, strike barters or, show your product off to people, whatever. And we also have crowdfund with a Q that's coming. So you'll be able to actually crowdfund your project, get it created, start building it, build the entire brand on Qortal, and then in the future sell that brand all at once on the names market. So there's going to be a lot coming. Like, we're not just building some like simple replacement for the internet. We're building the replacement that's going to be the infrastructure for the future that everyone is going to use. And yes, it's worldwide too. So it doesn't just limit to one specific region either. Everyone. And in fact, the next version of the UI has multiple languages supported. So if you speak another language by default and you prefer to do that as opposed to English, we will have all of that. In the next version of the UI, in version 1.9.0, we will have multiple supported languages. So that will be really cool too. And it'll open us up a lot more to, global support for people, which I'm really happy about. And the main focus right now is for us to make a communications platform that can actually replace Telegram and Discord, because we need one of those for a very long time. So many people need a way to communicate without fear of being shut down or banned or losing this communication opportunity completely, right? And so that is the main focus of the development right now, is to get Q chat to the point where it can send videos, files. You can do video communications like this, do replies, do code blocks, all the things you can do on Telegram is going to be possible on Q chat, and mobile support. So that's going to be huge too.
And that's huge. Like, the cell phone is just like, it's huge, like most people are glued to their phones. So I think that's a really logical next step. How many people just go online from their phone? Like, before, I was on Telegram on my phone. I had to sign in on the computer. Like, I'm not on there. So I mean, like, you're probably on the computer like more than I am. Like,
yeah.
I know I'm not, so but like, I think like this is like such an important project, and I think that's what I really want to hit home to like everybody, that like everybody complains and nobody does anything. You guys are doing something, and I think it's important as like sovereign human beings is to support people who have the same goals as us. Like, don't just like be complaining and then just be like, oh, the world's going to the end, like this, that. Like, do something about it. Like,
right.
Listen, we all have to try. We all, at the end of the day, like, have to say, okay, did I do my best? Did I try? And if you're going to try to do this, why wouldn't I give you my support? I'll give you my support over Jeff Bezos or Mark Zuckerberg. Like, I mean, I'm probably going to get banned again for saying that.
I know, right?
Like, whatever. So, but like, here's the thing is like, what you guys are doing is something that like, this is a huge task. I've seen the progression and I could see where it's going in the future, but we just need more people to adapt it and to use it. So, and the more people that support the infrastructure by running a node, the more stable it gets, the more production you guys could do.
The more potential data locations there are for websites, the more, there's a lot that happens, right? So yeah, there's, it just, since there's no central server, the more nodes you have, the stronger the network is, right? The more there is for people to make use of, right? There's more connectivity for each node to connect. And but we've automated all the difficult parts, guys. Like, seriously, it used to be a lot harder than it is now to get set up, and it's going to keep getting easier. And now as it gets easier, there's going to be more people jumping on. The people who jump on early and the people who take advantage of it early are going to be able to make more out of it earlier. And, then they'll know a lot by the time it gets huge, and they'll be really happy, right? So yeah, it's actually going to be the infrastructure for the future. And that's what people really need to believe, is because there's really no competitor for Qortal. There's nothing out there right now that can do all the things that Qortal can do with no centralized authority. Every single other platform that exists has some sort of centralized authority, or it's just too difficult to use. And there's not really one that does all of what Qortal does all in one place and makes it really simple for people. So that's why I think that it's really gonna work, right?
Right. I feel that way too, because like everything is right there. It's like you have your messaging, you have your website, you have your wallet, which is going to be your money. Money's going to be digital, people. Like, just face it. Like, that's where we're going. And you know what? It's either you feed the beast or leave it. Like, I choose to leave it, and I hope that more people will join. And if anybody has any questions, like, follows me, you could message me directly and I will do everything in my power to help you. If I can't help you, I'll get you connected with Jason, so we'll make him help you. So,
And
I
we've
mean,
got a massive community too. So like, just jump into our Discord or our Telegram, which links are all on Qortal.org. So just QORTAL.org. And all of the links there for all the wiki, which is a huge database of information on how to do everything. And the links to our Telegram and Discord for right now. Or if you're, up to doing it yourself and you just get set up, then you can jump into Q Chat and talk to people there. So yeah, just get connected with the community. Even if you have like 1% of an idea of what we're talking about right now, but you think that individual sovereignty matters, just get into our community, ask every question you can think of, and we will help you.
right. And the community is great. Like, they're very supportive. People are constantly asking questions, and I see just regular people answering. And I think that's really important because, like, in times like these, like, it's proven that, like, we can't trust, like, our elected leaders, we can't trust these corporations, but, like, what do we rely on? We rely on friends, we rely on family, we rely on our communities. And, like, this is important to bring it back to this level. And that's what makes this project so unique, because I kind of feel like we lost sight of that as, like, humans altogether. Like, I don't know how it got this far, that, like, we're ruled by, like, all these horrible corporate interests, and, like, that's not democracy.
It's really, I think that people are just, they got them so used to everything being super simple. Right. And so it's just like, oh, click here, da 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 da. And so, but that's not a way that you have any control what's going on. They go, okay, you can just use this website and all the stuff in the back end. Don't worry about that. It's doing what it needs to do, when it's really just tracking you. It's tracking your data. It's keeping track of everything you're doing. And so it can target advertisements specifically for you and nonsense like that. But the ease of use is really the problem. I think that people just got drawn in by, oh, everything's so simple. Click here. And they lost sight of what the internet was supposed to be, and like how things were supposed to be. And then all of a sudden, these companies made so much money off of everybody just click here on their sites. And now we're here where we are now. And so now we've got to take it and slowly distribute it back out into the hands of the people again, which is what, Qortal was built to do.
And that's awesome. Yeah. Cause like something like Google, like, they do it all so well. It's like, everything is there for you in, like, that one place at a click of a button. But on the other hand, they suppress web results. Like, so if I'm looking for something and it's like, I can't find anything, I have to go on Yandex, like the Russian internet, to find stuff, because I can't find anything on Google and, like, DuckDuckGo or any of these. Like, Brave is kind of okay, but I prefer Yandex. That's just a personal preference. But it's hard. Like, it's becoming harder, and, like, all the news is fake. And, like, if you want to have free thought exchange and free sharing of information, it's virtually impossible in, like, the environment we currently live in. So it's either you want to stay a slave or you want to be free. I think the answer is
really what it comes down to. And the next phase is when they get to the central bank digital currency. It will literally be, they will have full control over how and where and when and what time and all of it, of where you spend your money, right? They will have literal control over that. And now, is that okay? No. I don't think that's okay, right? So there's either that, which is like literally direct slavery, or an option like Qortal. And Qortal is literally the only one that I've seen that can do everything that it can do and still remain 100% decentralized. Right. And now that's the key, right? If it's not 100% decentralized, it's centralized. That's how I look at it. If there's anything that's centralized, any component that's centralized, it's the same as the whole thing being centralized, which is the problem. That's what most other blockchains don't seem to realize. They all have some centralized component that they're using. Most of the time, it's the front end, so that they can make it click here really easy, right? Mm-hmm. But we've done that the only thing is you just have to install the software first.
Right. And
It's really not that difficult.
it's not hard. And like, over time, like it's going to become easier and easier as like you guys keep developing. Like I saw like the growth in a year. I could only imagine what the growth will be by next year. And like people just need to have faith and like put a little elbow grease in it. Like don't be afraid to like jump into something new and get out of your comfort zone, because that's how you learn and that's how you improve yourself as a person. Like at the end of the day, that's the way I feel. Like I learned a lot. Like I've only been into crypto for about like 2 to 3 years. And, I'm still learning, but I've learned a lot. Like for me, just to decide, like I started like buying like Bitcoin on Robinhood, and I was like, with this, I can't do anything. I can't like move it. And then I was like, wait, this isn't really Bitcoin. And then I went on to like Coinbase, and then, and then I found like all the decentralized internet, like the decentralized exchanges and stuff. And that's where I live now. And once you find like decentralization, like you understand the importance, because everything else is like crazy. I'm like, what happens if I say the wrong thing on the internet? Like instead of getting a 30-day ban, they shut my money off.
Right.
Possible.
That's where we're getting to. That is, I know people don't seem to believe it, but they've been getting ready for the central bank digital currency for a very long time. I've been saying this for many years. And even me, like we were saying, it took me a long time to understand this. And I am a tech guy by default, right? Like I was always tech support, always building servers and networks and stuff like that. And it took me a while to fully understand blockchain technology. And so you can't just jump into it and expect to understand it immediately, right? You have to learn. And the whole part of it though, is that it's all open source. So you can learn as much of it as you want. It's not like where you're dealing with networks all the time, like the Visa network and stuff like that, where you have no idea what's actually going on in the back end. Why do people seem to care about the details on something that's open source when they don't care about the details of things that are closed source? That's what always confuses me, is that they do all these like things and people are like, oh, we're going to use these networks and we have no idea what it's actually doing. But then when you tell them, oh, here's a new one and it's all open source, then if suddenly they want to know everything that's happening, like, which is fine because you can figure it out. But, there should be more trust involved with something that's open source, right? Because there's nothing to hide.
Right. And I think that it's good because I know that you guys, you welcome like new developers to like join your team at all times.
Absolutely. I'm always looking for developers.
So what kind of developers do you need? If anybody out there is a developer, this is what he needs.
Yeah, we are always looking for Java and JavaScript developers. Right now, JavaScript is a little bit more important. That's the front end. We need people who can help build Q apps, because once we have Q apps functionality, then that literally opens the door for us to be able to build anything. And yes, I mean anything. So we will need a lot of development help to build everything, right? So yeah, we will need JavaScript developers for the foreseeable future, forever. And Java is the core language. And of course, we always are looking for now new developers who are trying to learn. Not really needed right now. Sorry, guys. We will have a school development stuff set up like that for people to learn in the future, but we need experienced developers right now. So if anybody out there listening likes the concepts of this project and likes open source stuff and wants to help us develop it, please do. Please get in contact.
Yeah, I think that's important. I know that like you guys like currently have a system in place to make sure that like no bad actors like come in and sabotage the project, because like that could easily happen, like as we've seen like with what they do, like they just put plants in there. So you do have some sort of safety net in the event of vetting and whatnot.
Yes. So the way that it will work in the near future, right now, the way that it works is we have a developer group on the chain. And so you can have groups on the chain for group communications and for group transactions, all kinds of cool stuff that we can do with groups in the future, right? So what we've done with groups, we have a developer group on the chain. The admins of that group, it requires a 60% approval from those admins before the update goes out, so that no developers can go rogue and decide that, we're just going to push an update randomly, stuff like that. So yes, we have those safeguards in place so that no updates can get pushed unless 60% of the development team agrees and signs the transaction. So, and as that progresses, what will happen is we'll have the community that will be able to vote in developers. Then those developers will go into the developer group or another group that we set up, like new devs or whatever. Then once they have gone and proven themselves by actually doing work and showing what they're capable of, the developers will be able to do that same type of transaction to vote them in to being a developer admin, which is the one who can actually sign the updates. So that group will continually grow. There will be more transactions necessary in order to make that update happen in the future. So yes, it starts a little bit more, like a little smaller with less number of people, right? But as it grows, there are more people that will get added to that group, and there will be more signatures required for the update to take place. And that makes sense because the platform will be bigger by then, more users, so forth. So it's built to grow and get bigger and more decentralized as time goes on, right?
Right, exactly. And that's another important thing to talk about, is that the community is involved, because there is a voting system. I know that you're going to be implementing.
Not yet, but
well,
yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
but kind of like, I know like you do.
Yeah,
like,
we've been using Telegram and Discord to do like unofficial votes right now. And that's how we did the vote to change the name registration fee a couple times already. But yes, we do. So you're minting, as you're minting, you get one block each time block goes by, right? Blocks minted. Your blocks minted. So basically your time that you've been contributing towards the network is then directly correlated to your vote weight in the voting system. So you can't buy any more influence. Power and money mean nothing. The only thing that matters is how long you've been contributing your time towards helping the network grow, right? And so then that is directly correlated to your vote weight. So the people who've been around longer and been contributing their time longer, they're the ones who have a higher influence in the system, which makes sense, right? And so that is, how we've decoupled power and money, so that there's no way that you can buy influence on the network. And now most other networks are not like that. Most of them are directly influenced by money, right? And that's how they do their proofs to actually power the blockchain: proof of work and proof of stake. Proof of stake is literally just, you have more money, you have more influence directly. And that's, I believe that that's not the correct way to do things. And so that we have built this system with no tie of money and power, so that, that kind of thing really isn't possible. You can't buy influence at all. So there's no way for anyone to do that. Yeah.
Right. So with the voting, it goes according to the different minter levels, correct?
Right. So it'll be directly related to your blocks minted. So a level 3 with this many blocks minted and a level 3 with this many more blocks minted, this person will still have a little bit higher weight. So it's directly your blocks minted. The level is there for the rewards. So the level keeps track of, which tier you're in for rewards. But the blocks minted will be directly correlated to the vote weight. So it's not necessarily the level that matters there. It's just the blocks minted.
Right. Yeah. So I know like at this point, like since last year, I'm almost at a level 4.
Nice.
I'm almost at level 4 because I meant 24/7. And like what he means by reward is you're getting like kind of like paid in court for running your node. So
it's how the coins get created. The people are minting, they're helping create the coins, and so they get a share of the reward every block. It works a little differently than Bitcoin does, where you're fighting for one block, and if you get that, you get the entire reward. It doesn't work like that. Every single minter, no matter who gets the block and finds the block and actually puts the block on the chain, doesn't matter. Every single minter gets rewarded every block regardless, right? So it's a cooperative setup as opposed to a competitive one. And we so far believe that it's been working out exactly as we've planned, and it's working quite well. I'm very happy with how that's going.
I think it's great because like, some people may not have the ability to like purchase court. And if they're like minting, they're just earning it, and that just may be okay. And then there may be some people who may want to like buy court and whatever. Like everybody does what they need to do. You don't have to buy anything. You just have to run a node. And if you're,
it allows true fairness, right? Like, because it's not reliant upon you having more money to buy more machines. That's what like POW is, or to have more money to buy more coin, to start with more coin, like POS. There's no need for any of that. You'd run it on any computer that you have. You get sponsored by another minter of level 5 or higher. You run that for 5 days. Once you've run that for 5 days, you become level 1. You create and assign your own minting key. That key never changes again. You just keep your node running. That's it.
Right. So like, I know like my name is registered. So like eventually, like, let's say I set up a website in the future, like, I don't know, like, let's say I'm going to sell like soap or something. So I set up a website and I have like a whole brand and whatever. And then somebody comes and they want to buy my name and my website that comes on my name. I could sell that to them in the future, right? If I wanted.
Yes, the names market will allow you to sell not only the name, but the name, the data, all the content, all of the followers, the application itself, and the Git repo. So for your application's open source code, all of that can be
Right.
sold all at once on the names market. So that's going to be something that's really huge in the future. And I'm really excited about the names market.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. Like, and like, I want everybody to think about, like, everybody knows about Bitcoin, all right? Like, imagine being the person like who invested in Bitcoin in like 2009, and you're here. This is the new Bitcoin, okay? Kind of, like it's my analogy for it. But like, you could get into a project early and be part of something, and you could be earning court, you could be earning influence in the community.
Even if you don't believe what we're saying and you're just like, whatever, I'll give it a shot, right? Like, even if you don't think it'll become the infrastructure of the future, whatever, right? You may as well just start minting anyway. It's not going to hurt anything. I mean, run your computer for a while, see if it gets some court, then if it on the chance that you think it's an off chance, but on the chance it does succeed, right? Then you're good, right? And you have more influence on the network for the voting later anyway. So I mean, it just makes sense, right? You can buy this device, it takes as much power as a phone charger. That's like nothing, right? You can run that all day long with no impact on your power bill, or even set up a little tiny solar panel that'll run the thing. You can do that too. So yeah, there's no reason not to at least, try. Right?
Like, even just like on your, even if you have like an old dusty computer, like take it out and just like insert, like install the software and just try it. And if you don't like it, then all right, whatever.
Right.
Yeah. But like, if you like it and you're like, okay, this is cool, and you'll see the development over time, you're going to eventually like reap the rewards of your effort. So I think that's one of like the big takeaway here is like, you really have nothing to lose. Doesn't cost you anything. You're not like, he's not selling you anything. I'm not selling you anything. We're just telling you that project is out there. And I know so many people message me, I've been banned, I've been this, I've been that. And here's the solution. What are you waiting for? Like, you only have yourself to blame if you get banned again, because I'm telling you.
Right. Yeah. And soon we will be able to replace all of these platforms that you're using on a daily basis: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all of them, right? They'll all be built into the same interface. So you'll be able to do all the things that you need to do, from sending money to trading to communicating to accessing your social media to publishing websites. And we'll even have website building tools built in too, so that we're barely scratching the surface as far as what this is going to be able to do and what all the functionality will be in the future. So, I mean, getting in now, and then you'll get to see, as you have over the last year, how much this progresses and how quickly and how great our development team is. And the development team just keeps growing because it's a community-based thing. So it's just going to go faster, stronger, better as time goes on. And I am, very excited. This year is going to be huge. Like, I'm so excited. By the end of this year, it's going to be crazy. Like, so much new stuff. So yeah, get in, check it out.
I think everybody should try it. If anybody has any questions, you can message me directly. If I can't answer them, I'll direct you to Jason, or you could just go to the Telegram community or Discord community and find out more information. I will put the links below, I guess, wherever when I post it. So I'll put the links below to the website, and that has the wiki and it has a bunch of walkthroughs, and that all has like the Telegram and Discord information on it. Am I correct?
Yep.
Yeah, so we'll take it from there. And if you guys like this content, I'll bring him back, and we could ask him more questions to teach.
We could potentially do something live too. If we set up some sort of streaming setup, we could do that live and have a live Q&A. I'm totally fine with that. Or just have like a big group call and, invite people who want to ask me questions or whatever. Like, I'm fine with that too. So yeah, anything that you want to do to help get more people understanding this, because I really think that this technology is absolutely necessary for the future. It's not just like something that we're making that's really cool and you should use it because it's really cool. No, like, it's an absolute necessity for the future, in my opinion. So anybody who needs this, they need to understand it, right? So I'm down to do whatever is necessary to help people understand this.
And I'm 100% agreement. Like my tinfoil hat is made out of palladium. Like I know where this is going. And I have been like, I've been screaming on the top of my lungs for the past 2 years. And people who follow me know that I say what I feel and I'm going to tell you the truth. And really haven't been wrong with all of my calls in the past 2 years. So this is where it's going. And you know what? You may say, well, I'm older and I don't know how to use it. No, you can figure it out. It's really not that hard. If you
We have a huge older community, actually. Like a lot of the people who've come in are of the older, age group, and they love it, right? They love it. So, and it's easy to use once you get the hang of it, right? You just have to understand it a little bit. The interface is obviously really easy. It's just the installation process that gets people sometimes. But once you've got it set up, most people have no problem from there,
Yeah, it's easy. Like honestly, like I just like leave it and I just check it to make sure it's like functioning. If I short a fuse or something, I just make sure that my node is on minting. That's all I really do at this time, but I see like the potential for the future down the road and where it was and where it is now and where it's going to go. So if I'm seeing that in like it's less than a year. I think I joined last summer. So it's less than a year's time. The amount of growth was phenomenal. And I commend you for that. I commend your team for that. And like, I remember I wasn't in for a while and I stopped in like the chat group and I couldn't believe there was all these new like admins and like all these new moderators. And I was like, wow, it was like the community had grown. I was like, there was under 1,000 people when I had joined. So
yeah, the Discord alone, I think has close to 6,000, 7,000 people in it now. And that's just the Discord side. Then we have the Telegram side, and then we have the people who are not in either and just communicate in QChat. And that's where we're getting really near future, right? We want to have everybody just using QChat because it is so much better than using a centralized thing to communicate, because you never know what's going to happen. You never know if you're all of a sudden one day you're not going to be able to do this anymore, or you're going to have like whoever's showing up and doing whatever, right? It's nonsense. So we need to have this legitimate communications platform, which is QChat, but we're adding all the other functionality so that you can keep messages longer. You can do sending of files and pictures and stuff, and all the stuff that you're used to being able to do on Telegram will all be able to be done in the near future. I'm thinking like the next couple months, like easily, right? Because we're working on that right now, so it's going to be like really soon. Like our development team is fantastic. So yeah.
And I also want like people to understand like it's going to be a little bumpy and they're building it from scratch. So like don't expect it to be like shiny and new out of the box. Like there's going to be development changes and you're going to see like progress, but like don't expect to like turn it on and it's going to be like Google where you have your Drive, your Gmail, your videos, and like it's not like that. But that's where it's going. Like that's how like Google had to start somewhere and look where they are now. Like why can't Qortal do that? And why we can, right? Like we can. And it's not like just the development team, it's the community. We all can. And like developers are important because they're the ones creating it, like, but it's also important to have the people running their nodes because you're supporting the infrastructure.
And the people talking about this, like, because most people will get in and they'll have no idea at first. Then they'll learn it. Then they'll realize that they really like it. And then they love it. And then they're like trying to help everybody else out. And the people who didn't have any clue before are now helping other people get set up, which is exactly like what you're doing here. And it's fantastic. And then people want to get me on videos and tell more about it. And then more people do the same thing. And that's exactly how we want this to grow. We don't want like, big pop-up advertisements and nonsense like they do with all the other crypto projects and stuff like that. I believe they firmly have ruined the crypto space completely. When venture capital started coming in, it all went to crap.
Right.
And so we want to do the exact opposite of whatever they're doing, right? Yeah.
Whatever they do, you do the opposite.
Yeah.
So I think it's important because it's organic, the growth. And I think that this is very grassroots and the way it used to be, it's kind of like wholesome in that matter that like, like you're telling a friend and like your friend tells a friend and then they sign up. Like I was in like a random group that I was in and I was just talking about the project and lo and behold, I see the guy in the Qortal Telegram group and he's like, oh, I heard it from you because you were just like talking about it. Like I was just chatting to somebody. I was like, oh, did you check this out? And the guy joins, and I was like, wow, I was like, that's how I heard about it. I saw like people talking about it. I just came into the group just to see what it was about. And then I read the website and I was like, am I like reading what I'm thinking? Like, this is it, So I just hope that more people adopt it. I hope that people from my community adopt it and join, because, you know, we're only as strong as like we make each other. Because, like, you know, they wield all the power and the influence, but there's more of us than there are of them. And like, it's going to take all of us working together in order to make this come and get rid of them. Like, we'll edge them out. Like, they edged me off Twitter.
Mhm.
Right. So
We don't
like,
need their crap anymore.
yeah, I don't need your Twitter anymore. So, I mean, like, if you really think of it that way, like, so many people this has happened to, been deplatformed, shadow banned. I'm shadow banned all the time. Like, they won't even boost my posts half the time. And I'm shadow banned. Like, I used to reach like, I used to reach like 10,000, 20,000 people a day. Now I'm lucky if I reach like 900. I'm shadow banned. You know,
Yeah,
and what am I doing? I'm not really doing anything. I'm just telling the truth, you know,
telling
and
the
it's,
truth. Yeah, they don't like that.
yeah,
Telling the
that's
truth,
very
that's a
inconvenient.
problem. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not state approved media. I mean, like,
Yeah.
and then like, honestly, like everything that they're just saying on TV, like, it's just, I do the opposite. And I suggest everybody does the opposite too, because they lie, you know. And if you're a truth seeker and you love your freedom and you want your children and your grandchildren to have the type of life that sort of resembles the one that you had, then you need to come join us.
Absolutely. I do have to start getting going here in a second, so
Yeah,
I think we can end
absolutely.
it maybe.
Absolutely. So thank you,
Cool.
Jason, for coming. And if anybody has any questions, reach out to me and I will help direct you. And we appreciate your time, Jason. And this was Qortal.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, bye, guys.